Hey, what is going on, guys? It is Young here, and today I'm back in our Fortnite video, and in today's video, I'm going to be discussing exactly which aim assist is going to be better in which situations, because over the last week or so that I've been playing on linear, I have noticed some major improvements to certain areas of my game when it came to the aim assist and aiming aspect that I wanted to be covering in this video. So if you guys are looking to maybe possibly switch to linear or just curious exactly how the aim assist is very different on both, definitely stay to the end of the video because I have a lot of really good points that I'm going to be covering in this video that hopefully clears up a lot of misconceptions and stuff like that when it comes to legacy versus linear aim assist. And before we get into the video, I have a V-Buck giveaway. I'm going to be giving away 2,000 V-Bucks. And if you guys want a chance to enter this giveaway, all you guys have to do is to drop a like on this video. Make sure you guys are subscribed to my channel, turn on my post notifications, and also leave a comment down below of your Xbox gamer tag, your PSN gamer tag, or Epic account. And you guys will be automatically entered into my next giveaway, which I'm giving away 2,000 V-Bucks. If you guys want some free V-Bucks, make sure you guys do enter into the giveaway. And alright guys, let's go right to the video. Alright, so in this video, I wanted to be talking about and showing you guys the biggest difference between legacy and linear aim assist and some misconceptions that I see and just some really important things to notice and to consider when you are going and choosing which aim assist or which settings you want to use and the ones you prefer, because they both are very good in their own ways. But there was just one thing that I noticed in particular over the past few days when I was playing on linear that is just so much better than on legacy, and there are things that are on legacy that are so much better than on linear. So one thing that I really noticed here, I'm putting on the legacy, and the legacy basically allows you to have an auto rotation. So when you ADS, it auto rotates onto the player that you are looking at. So it can be very helpful for long range fights, mid range fights, and even close range fights. If you're looking for like an ADS type of shot, it's going to help you rotate to onto that player. So ADS shots or aim down sight shots are very strong when it comes to the weapons in this game. It goes for any weapon. I mean, anything from the assault rifles to the shotguns to the SMGs. Even sniper rifles have a little bit. It's not really that crazy because you still have to pre-aim the shot or shoot a little bit in front of them, but you still get the idea. When it comes to those long range shots, it is so much more effective because from a distance like here, I can easily get shots on the other player without a problem. It's going to be very easy to track the other player, lock onto them, and be able to at least get a few shots off before they start building, which can be very helpful going into the fight, being able to just tap off a little bit of shield before the fight even starts, which can give you an advantage and help you win in that fight time and time again. So getting those shots off can be very crucial and also very easy when you are on the legacy aim assist. And here we are close range, and guys might be very hard to tell from just watching it, but there is a little bit of pull when I am moving from left to right over the player in front of me. There is a little bit. It's not too crazy, but it's just a little bit and enough to know that there's someone there. And of course, on legacy, flick shots are still possible, but they are a little bit harder just because it's not 100% consistent. The slowdown on the other player on hip fire isn't the best, and it's just a little bit harder. You can still hit them, of course, but it is a little bit harder to do than if you were playing on linear, which I'll show you guys in a second. So here I was just pretty much just testing out all the different type of aim assists, different situations, and the tracking when you are ADSing is pretty decent. It's not too bad, not the best, but it definitely is. It's good enough in my opinion if you are ADSing, because first of all, you have that rotation. So if you ADS close to the other player, it's going to rotate right onto the middle of them. If you're aiming for the head, then it's going to rotate towards their head, towards their body, wherever you're aiming at. You're going to be on top of that player, so when you are tracking them with your SMG or assault rifle, it's going to be much easier because you're already going to be on the middle of that player. So tracking is going to be easier once you are aimed down your sights. So now I want to switch to linear, but the biggest takeaways from legacy is when it comes to aiming down your sights, long range fights and medium range fights with SMG are going to be the strongest point of legacy aim assist. You're going to be able to lock on the player from distance very easily, track them very easily and just get shot after shot while not having to worry about too much effort, because as long as you aim down your sights pretty close to the player, it's going to rotate over. So those are going to be the strengths and strong points of legacy aim assist you have to keep in mind. And when it comes to linear, I'm going to be completely honest, the exact opposite is true with every single thing I said about legacy. So here, of course, you don't have the rotation. So when you ADS next to the player, it doesn't rotate towards the player. It pretty much goes exactly where you're looking at. But you do have a little bit of tracking when you are moving left to right, which is very, very difficult. When it comes to assault rifle shots, it is just, even when I stream, for those guys who watch me during live streams, it's just so hard to hit. I mean, from time to time, you can hit a lucky shot. Maybe you can get a good tracking on them from time to time if they're not looking at you. But being consistent with your assault rifle is just absolutely impossible. You're going to be missing more shots than you're going to be hitting, and overall, it's very difficult to do. Sometimes you can hit for some crazy damage. I had one time I ripped a dude for like 3 times in the head with the AUG from like 50 yards out. Sometimes it happens, but it is a lot more difficult to track and line up your shot because you don't have any sort of rotation when you're aimed down in your sights. So it makes it a little bit more difficult. As far as the ADS mid-range, as far as the tracking, it feels pretty much the same, not too much different, but of course you don't have that rotation when you're looking down your sights, so you will have to track the player yourself, but it feels pretty average compared to legacy. So as far as ADS on the mid-range, it feels pretty much exactly the same. On legacy, long range is a lot stronger. And when it comes to close range, which we'll get in a second, it's a completely different story with linear. It's absolutely insane. It's one thing I noticed the last couple of days that I really didn't take into too much account, but it really is a game changer. So here I'm really just testing the distance and seeing how far I can get when it comes to the aim assist, how strong it is, how far I can look off the other player, kind of all the mechanical stuff to just see exactly what I'm going to be getting into. So the next thing I really wanted to get into and talk about the linear settings is going to be getting close range. So when you are close range, it is absolutely insanely sticky. The aim assist is, in my opinion, even too strong, I feel like, at some point on linear. So here you can, I'm showing you exactly what I'm doing with my analog stick. I'm moving it all over the place in all sort of directions, and I'm doing that as much as possible. And as soon as I get next to the other player, I'm doing the exact same movement, and you can see it doesn't even come off the other player, and I'm moving my stick to the top left, top right, bottom right, all sorts of directions as fast as possible in all directions, and I can't even get it off the other player. So when it comes to the close range fights, it is so easy to get shots on the other player when you are not ADSing your gun. So when you are hip firing your gun, it is insanely good aim assist all around. You're going to be hitting so many easy shots on the other player, and it's just so good when it comes to these close range fights. And I will be showing you guys just in a second. I end up backing up a little bit, and of course the closer you get, what I noticed, the stronger the aim assist. And I think you could probably get maybe 5-10 yards away from the other player before you really start losing your aim assist. You still have a little bit, but you kind of get into that mid-range category. So close range is going to be absolutely the strongest, no doubt about that. And once you back up a little bit, the more you back up, the more aim assist that you lose, I guess you can say. So when it comes to these close range fights, if you're the type of player that is very rushy, plays very, very aggressive, is always up in the other player's face, linear is going to be 100% your best bet, because as you can see here in these tests, that the closer you are to the other player, the aim assist is just so sticky. It's not going anywhere. I'm moving my sticks in all sorts of directions, and it's still on top of the other player. Super easy to hit. Of course, when you aim down your sights, it's a different story. Not as easy. But as far as hip firing, it's just so easy to line up your shots and just consistently hit them. Very, very good. It's amazing. But like I said earlier, when it comes to these long range fights, it is way too hard to hit consistent shots. So you're not going to be very, very consistent when it comes to the long range. It's going to be very hard. But at close range, you're going to be extremely consistent with your shots. You're going to be hitting a lot more shots than the other players you're going against. And also another thing to talk about, what I'm showing right here, is going to be flick shots. So flick shots are very easy to hit on linear because the analog stick movement is 100% consistent, so that means it's very easy and predictable every single time you try to go for a flick shot, and on top of that, the very strong aim assist that you have if you're close to the other player. So if you're going for a flick shot and the player isn't very far away from you, you're going to be hitting the player probably 9 times out of 10. Super easy to line up, super consistent with linear, and it just really is the way to go. So box fights, anything from late game and arena, if you're a very aggressive public match player, linear is going to be 100% undoubtedly the best aim assist and the best settings to use for your controller. And I really didn't take it into account too much. I really just thought that linear was the best for building and editing, and it kind of dropped off for aim. But now that I started testing it and really seeing it in game, that's not the case at all. It's really the legacy and linear are pretty much the exact opposites. So on linear here, close range is extremely good. Mid range is kind of mediocre to average, probably below average, and the long range is just very, very difficult. And so when it comes to legacy, the old settings, long range is very, very easy. You can line up the shots time and time again. Mid range, if as long as you ADS your gun, you're gonna be hitting so many shots, especially with the SMG. You're gonna be lasering the other guy. So mid range, honestly, if you can aim down your sights, very, very good. If not, then it's kind of mediocre, not very that good. In close range, you really don't have that much aim assist at all. You're still able, since you are very, very close to the other player, it can be easier to track. Because, for instance, when you are going for long range shots, the other player is going to be smaller on your screen. Versus if you're pretty much just rushing the other player point blank, they are going to be a lot bigger and a lot easier to hit. But with that being said, when it comes to the legacy aim assist, it is a lot more difficult to consistently line up your shots time and time again. When it comes to those close range fights, your best bet is going to be on linear, a lot more stickier, a lot more aim assist, and just overall the best bet to use. So I hope this video cleared out a few misconceptions and really cleared out exactly what aim assist might be the best for you if you maybe focus on long range, mid range, or maybe just getting that rotation when it comes to aiming down your sights. That can be a very good strong point to use legacy. But if you're a very aggressive player, box fights, arena, all that kind of good stuff, I think that linear is going to be undoubtedly the best aim assist to use, because your close range is going to be super sticky, super easy to hit as long as you're hip firing, and especially on linear, everything's very consistent. So hitting those flick shots, hitting those close range shots, hip fires are going to be very, very easy to do. So with that being said, that's a wrap up for this video. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you guys liked it, make sure you guys do drop a like, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, turn on my post notifications so you guys are notified for every single new video. And alright guys, I'll see you next video.